Okay, so yesterday we did regular introduction to functions. That was on page 17, where you had to determine whether or not something was a function, and then you had to define the domain and the range of a function. I think for the most part y'all are okay. Y'all had a couple of questions on those. Just on some of the graphs y'all had a few questions, but I think for the most part y'all got that figured out. Alright, so today we're going to look at function notation and then evaluating functions. That's where we're at today. We did look at this in Algebra 1, or somewhat. We're just still a little more in depth here. So when you have an equation that is in y equals and we take it into function notation, they'll write it like this, which is read f of x. That's how you say it, but it's written this way. It still means the same thing. So instead of y equals 2x plus 7, it's f of x is equal to 2x plus 7. Still means the same. They're just changing the y to f of x. Alright, x is your input. F of x then is your output, the y value. Okay? So the function notation is specifically useful for finding a value in the range that corresponds to a certain domain value. So what they're saying here is if f of x is 2x plus 7, then find f of negative 3. So what they're saying is take that negative 3 value and plug it in for x. That's what they want you to do. That's when you're evaluating a function. We are not working every single one of these. Y'all don't need me to do that for you. Alright, I am not doing that one. It's too easy. Alright, calculators, quickly, come get them. Because I'm not doing the calculator for you. Y'all can do this. Huh? Your socks are falling off your feet. Yeah.
I forgot she was your mom, and I was like, did you just call me stop your mom? What the heck?
I've watched children that call me mom, even the ones that aren't my children. Okay, I'm mom about 10 kids most of the school year. So. Alright, here we go. So f of 3/10. Technically, this is the correct way to write it when you do it. I don't always do it this way to take it to the space. So f of 3/10 meaning that I'm going to, and here's my equation for f of x. They have one for g of x. So f of 3/10 is, so I have negative 5 times 3/10 minus 14. So you're going to let your calculator do the work for you. This is simply order of operations, really, is all you're doing. So in your handy dandy little calculator, negative 5 times 3/10. Get that value for me, please. Okay, negative 3 over 2. Then all you got to do is hit minus 14. And you get what? Negative 31 over 2. That's it. That's your answer. You're done. Like, that is all. That's all you have to do. There's nothing else to be done from there. That's the answer.
So you do follow PEMDAS, right?
Yes, you follow your order of operations.
Okay, I swear, maybe it was last year, not last year, 2 years ago or something, that we had to do something with like the F and X. Like this. Like, what you have to, I swear we had to like solve it or something.
We will. We're not there yet. Okay. Now there's this on the back. We'll get there in a few minutes. All right. They're saying that's a different type. I'll show you what those look like in a minute. All right. This one. Now, this one you get an improper fraction. I want you to leave it alone because it was given as a fraction. This one, because they're giving you a decimal, your answer can be a decimal. That's okay. But if they give you a fraction, I want you to give it to me in fraction form. Okay. This one, because they give you a decimal, it's okay to do everything as a decimal, all right? So this one is g, so we've got to use the equation for g, okay? So we're doing g of 0.4, and I'm not using the 0 because that's just extra writing, I ain't doing all that. So it's equal to, now be really careful here, all right? So this says negative x, so you write the negative out front, then 0.4 squared, plus 9 times 0.4 minus 1. Okay. The negative sign is not attached to the squared. It's not attached to the x squared. Okay, the negative is out front. Okay, so bring your negative down. 0.4 squared. You shouldn't even really need a calculator. 4 times 4 is 16. They're both less than 1, which means it's staying behind the decimal. 9 times 4 is what?
3.
So that gives you 3.6. One of them's behind the decimal. Minus 1. Okay. Now in your calculator, negative 0.16 plus 3.6 minus 1. Tell me what that gives you.
2.
Alright, equals 2.44. Now you have an answer. What gets you guys are not process problems. What gets y'all are sign problems because you don't know when the negative, when to put the negative where it goes. This right here. Because it's not negative 0.4 squared. It's negative and then the 0.4 is squared. And y'all don't know when it goes where. That gives y'all an issue. Alright, this one is totally different than this. Okay? So this one, g of negative 7, we're going to have the negative sign still goes out front. This one, a negative 7 is squared. Because the negative is with the 7 already. Do y'all see that? But this negative sign is still out front. Y'all understand that or no?
Not really.
This negative sign and this negative sign are two different negative signs altogether. This one is already there. Okay? So it has to stay out here. This negative sign is attached to the negative that is given with the 7 itself. So it needs to go inside the parentheses with the 7. And when you put it in the calculator, you need to put it in your calculator with the parentheses. Because if you just type in your calculator negative 7 squared, it's going to give you a negative 49.
Is that not what it is?
No.
Because I typed it in like that, and that's what it gave me.
Well, yeah, because you've got the negative sign also out front.
We don't.
Because this right here is positive 49. If you take this negative sign off, negative 7 in a parentheses squared is positive 49. What makes it negative is this negative sign out front. Because if you put in your calculator, like this is something like y'all really need to get this straight, okay? If you put this in your calculator, negative 49 squared, well, I'm sorry, not negative 49, sorry. Negative 7 squared, you're gonna get, if this is only squaring that 7, okay? Like your stuff's coming out wrong. How many of y'all missed that question on your dang test because of a sign? Almost all of you. Almost every single person in this room. It was, I don't know where to find it because it was almost everybody in the room. I can't remember which question it was. It was this one. I can't remember which question it was. Almost every single one, it was an order of operations problem, and y'all all missed it because of a sign issue. Because you don't know when to use, you don't know how to put the negative in, you don't know how to use the negative properly. You've got to, if this is a negative 7 and you're squaring it, you've got to put it in the parentheses. This negative has to stay out here separately because it's not part of this x. This means the opposite of x squared. Well, x is negative 7. So negative 7 squared means negative 7 times negative 7, which is a positive 49. Well, the opposite of positive 49 is negative 49. But if you don't read it that way, you're not going to capture all the negatives correctly, and you're going to have the wrong number. And if your sign is wrong here, the whole rest of the problem is going to come out wrong. You see what I'm saying? Okay. Plus 9 times the negative 7 minus 1. So here you get this. What happens here? What do you get here? Minus 63 minus 1. Now we have all this, so now negative 49 minus 63 minus 1 gets you what? Negative 113.
This all,
Yes.
on my test, I couldn't remember, like, and I still can't remember, like, it went blank. When you're supposed to use the reverse of PEMDAS? Like, is
When you're
that
solving equations.
equations or inequalities?
Both. You solve equations and inequality the same way. And also reverse. The only time that that's not true is when you have one where you have the giant division part of a problem and you have to get rid of that off the bottom first. Does that make sense? Then you have to move that first, then you can get rid of the addition subtraction. Does that, you follow me?
A little bit.
Okay. If you still have questions, see me later, we'll talk about it. Okay, let's look at this one. This one is two pieces with a subtraction in the middle. So we've got to work this part and this part separately. So we're going to do f of 1 over here. We're going to do some minus f of negative 4 over here. Okay? So f of 1 would be negative 5 times 1 minus 14. And then f of negative 4 would be negative 5 times negative 4 minus 14. Everybody okay with that? Yes or no? Negative 5 times 1 is negative 5 minus 14. So negative 5 minus 14 gives you
Negative 9.
negative 19. Okay. Over here, negative 5 times negative 4 gives you
20.
20 minus 14 gives you
16.
what?
I mean, 6.
6. Okay, so now I have this giant subtraction in the center of that because this basically is like this. So negative 19 minus 6 gives you what? Negative 25. That's your answer. Everybody okay with that one? Okay, this one.
Yeah, I think so.
I have 2 times g of 12. I'm going to deal with the 2 in a minute. But I'm going to deal with g of 12 first. So I've got g of 12 over here. So that means I've got a negative out front, so I'm going to write it down there. Then I've got 12 squared plus 9 times 12 minus 1. Bring down my negative. 12 squared is
144.
144 plus 9 times 12 is no way. It would help if we knew how to multiply. Minus 1. Okay. In your handy dandy calculator, negative 144 plus 108 minus 1.
Negative 37.
Okay, so that gives you a negative 37. Now we've got to bring that over here and deal with this 2. So 2 times negative 37. Negative 74. That's your final answer. So that is why there's this, you see this bracket here, because I've got to do g of 12 first, then I can multiply it times this 2 that's out front. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So again, I'm not working these two like those are whole numbers. I'm not dealing with that. Y'all can handle those are simple. You just plug in a whole number, deal with it. But we've got an absolute value, so we do have to deal with the absolute value. All right, I've got a negative 9/16. So here we go. Here's my P problem. I've got 1/2 minus 4/3 times a negative 9/16. That's what I've got. All right, what has to happen first here?
They all have to have.
No.
4/3 and the negative 9/16.
I've got to multiply this part first. Okay? So 1/2 is going to stay right where it is. All right, so here's what I would do. I would forget about 1/2 and I would look at this as negative 4/3 times negative 9/16. Your calculator does that for you. It gives you 3/4, okay? And it's positive because I multiplied two negatives, right? So I have plus 3/4. If you hadn't done it as a positive, and you'd done positive 4/3 times negative 9/16, then you would have gotten a negative 3/4, and you would have had minus negative 3/4, and a double minus gives you addition anyway. So it doesn't matter which way you do it, you're still going to end up with 1/2 plus 3/4. Is everybody okay with that? All right. Add one, so take your answer, because you have 3/4 still in your calculator, right? Plus 1/2.
3/4.
So it gives you 5/4, which is how I want your answer. I want the improper fraction. I don't want the mixed number. I don't want the decimal. I want the fraction. Everybody okay with that? All right. Q of -2. I've got this absolute value here. All right, so I've got absolute value 3 parentheses -2 minus, all right, I've got x to the 3rd, which means, and I have a -2, so my -2 needs to be in parentheses. This minus sign must stay there, okay? -2 in a parentheses to the 3rd power. Close your absolute value. Do not go type this thing in absolute value and think you're going to make it come out the way you want it to. You've got to break this apart, okay? All right, 3 times -2 is -6. We can handle that part. Leave your minus sign. We need to go deal with this. -2 to the 3rd. Do just this in your calculator with the parentheses. It is -8, which you should know anyway, because -2 times -2 times -2 is in fact -8. Three negatives give you a negative, okay? And 2 to the 3rd is 8. So now I have this right here. That's what you have. Yes? These two negatives right here give you what? A positive. So now I have -6 and a positive 8, which give you what? 2. So I have the absolute value of 2, which is in fact what? 2. So that's my answer. Everybody okay there? All right, here we go. On the back. Here were your originals because these go with this. P of x was 1/2 minus 4/3 x, and Q of x was absolute value of 3x minus x to the 3rd. Those were the two that they gave you. All right, this one. So I have 7 minus Q of 4.5. The 7 minus has to stay and wait. Like, we've got to deal with this part first. So I've got absolute value of 3 times 4.5 minus, in my parentheses, 4.5 to the 3rd, close my absolute value. All right. Courtney, will you get me 4.5 to the 3rd? And Bethany, will you get me 3 times 4.5, please?
13.5.
All right, so I got 13.5 here, minus, Courtney? 91.125. Okay. Everybody okay with that? Okay, so now what do I do? Subtract that. All right, so 13.5. So Bethany, take your, say, put minus 91.25.
What, -5 or 125?
0.125. She already had 13.5 in her calculator.
7.625.
0.625. Okay, so now we've got this, yes? When I take the absolute value of that,
It's 77.625?
yeah, however, I have 7 minus, right?
Yes.
So I actually have 7 minus this positive 77.625, which equals what? Negative 70.625. That's my final answer. So yeah, it became positive when I took it out of the absolute value, but because it said 7 minus that, it became negative again. Does that make sense? Everybody good there? All right, this one. I've got 3 times and plus 5, But all that stuff has to wait because I've gotta deal with what's inside first, alright? So P to the negative 1, that's really not gonna be that bad. 1/2 minus 4/3 times negative 1. What's gonna happen when I multiply 4/3 times negative 1?
It's gonna be.
Yeah, this is gonna become positive because it's really already negative. So what I end up with is 1/2 plus 4/3. So handy dandy calculator, get after it.
Okay.
11/6. Okay, so now I have 3 times 11/6 plus 5. Alright, so take your 11/6 that you've already got in your calculator, times 3. 11/2 plus 5. 21/2, and that's how you leave it. If we started with fractions, we're leaving fractions. If we started with a decimal, you're leaving the decimal. Easy enough? Okay, now Sam, this is what you were talking about. These right here, it says, use f of x is 3x plus 19 for these two questions. If f of x equals 34, well remember, f of x is your y value. So they're saying, take this equation and set it equal to 34. Now we're solving for the x. These are the ones you're talking about. So they're saying, here's the equation is equal to 34. So this is different than plug it into, take this and plug it into x. You see what I'm saying? So now we're saying 3x plus 19 is equal to 34. Because this says find x.
Oh, okay, so these aren't bad.
Yeah, these are super easy. So the first thing I need to do is what? Yeah, subtract 19. So when I subtract 19, I get 3x is equal to, 15. So therefore x is equal to 5. Okay, over here, I've got the same situation. 3x plus 19 is equal to negative 62. So then I subtract 19 and I get 3x is equal to negative 81. So x is then equal to negative 27. Okay. Alright, so then we have, alright, I'm going to read this super fast. Owen paid a landscaping company $108 for an initial lawn treatment. Then $74 per month thereafter. Here's the function. P of t is equal to 108 plus 74t to represent the total amount of money he will have paid after t months. They want me to find P of 24. And then what does that represent? So in this problem, here is my function. What do they want me to do for A? Yeah, go ahead, Mallory. Yes, they want me to take it and plug it into, plug this in for t. So 108 plus 74 times 24. Because when you see P of a number, they're saying plug it in. Does that make sense? Okay. So somebody give me 74 times 24. 776, which gives me a grand total of 1884. All right. What does this represent? What does 1884 represent? In how long?
24 months.
Okay, amount of money in 24 months. All right, over here it says, how long has Owen been receiving lawn service if he has been paid a total of $2,994 to date? What does this problem want me to do?
You're gonna have to reverse it, right?
Right, so where am I gonna put this?
In front.
Right, okay, so give me the problem. What is it gonna look like?
2994 equals 108 plus 74t.
Okay, equals 108 plus 74t. So this time I'm solving for t, okay? So the first thing I need to do is
Subtract 108.
subtract 108, so that gives me 2886 is equal to 74t. Now I need to,
Divided by 74.
okay, and I divide by 74, so t is then
39.
39. Okay, so 39 what? you see the difference in the wording on those two problems, so you know which way to set it up depending on what they're saying. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so you know how to set up because you're gonna have a problem like this. Alright, these, here, F of whatever, G of whatever, how they're doing it, instead of having an individual number, they're giving you something else to plug in. So what's gonna happen here is you're not gonna end up with a numerical answer. You're gonna end up with a polynomial of some sort as your answer.
I hate these.
I'm so sorry. You
It's
used to do it.
okay.
I'm not doing this problem right here. Alright, so we've got F, we're using this expression right here. So I've got -4, and in place of X, I'm gonna put C plus 2, and then I have plus 9. Alright, so what do I do here? Distribute. So -4 times C gives you -4C, -4 times 2, -8, and then plus 9. Now what do I need to do? Combine these two right here, so I end up with
-4C plus 1.
-4C plus 1. Can I do anything else?
No.
No, so I'm done. That's my answer. Can't go any further. Alright, the next one. I've got to use G, that's this one here. So I have x squared. Now this has some exponent rules. Okay, so I've got -4y to the third. All of that is squared minus 5. Okay, so -4 squared. So -4 times -4 gives you what? Positive 16. Y to the third squared. This is the power rule. The power rule tells me that I would multiply these two values. If it was the regular exponents and you had the bases, you add the exponents. But this is power rule, so power rule tells me to multiply these two. So 3 times 2 gives me y to the 6. I'm done with this, and then minus 5. Can I do anything else with this?
No.
No, but there's nothing else to do there. You're finished. I can't combine anything because this doesn't have anything with it. So there's nothing else I can do there. Is everybody okay with this one?
I was confused on how you set it up. Like, I don't get that.
What?
Like, how you set it up, like, on different things.
This is my x. So I wrote it in place of x, and x was squared, so I put it squared on the outside.
Okay.
And then the minus 5 is just minus 5. Okay, this one. This is G also. So here's G. So in place of x squared, I'm writing a minus 3. Actually, right up here. Sorry. A minus 3 squared minus 5. That's what I have. Does that make sense? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay. So when I have a minus 3 squared, that means I have to write the entire parentheses 2 times. So a minus 3 times a minus 3, and then minus 5. Do we remember how to multiply these two parentheses together? Well. Okay, so a times a gives you
2A.
a squared.
Squared in the back.
Okay, and then a times this 3 at the back, -3a, and then I'm going to multiply the insides, so -3 right here times this a here,
3A.
-3a again, and then I'm multiplying the two last terms. -3 times -3 should give me a positive 9. When you multiply two parentheses, you should have 4 terms. Okay? You should end up with 4 terms. Now I've still got this minus 5 back here. Now what do I do? Combine like terms. Is there anything to combine with a squared? No. The a's, here they are right here together. -3a and -3a give you -6a, and 9 minus 5 gives you plus 4. Now you're finished. You've combined like terms, you're done. Everybody okay? That is a quadratic. All good there.
I hate those because I always try to.
I don't want to add all the numbers together. You
Now,
can't
where'd
do
you
that.
get the minus 5?
So if the A wasn't.
It was already back there
Okay.
from here.
Okay.
If the A wasn't squared, would you add it in and
If it was a regular A, you could add it with this, but it's not. It is A squared, so it stays by itself. It's a different thing altogether. Okay, this is gonna be the most complicated. We're gonna work them two separate problems, and then we'll subtract at the very end. Okay? So we're gonna work G over here and F over here, and we'll subtract them at the end. Alright, so my G is 2m plus 1. Alright, which means, okay, remember 2m plus 1 is gonna be squared, right? So it's gonna be 2m plus 1 squared minus 5, right? That's G, yes? And then my F is gonna be minus, I'm gonna leave some space, minus, and then F is -4, put a bull bracket like this, -4 times 3m minus 7, and then plus 9 at the back, inside bracket, because that's that whole problem right there. This is really what I have. Yes? Everybody okay? Alright, now I'm going to come over here to work G. 2m plus 1 squared means I need 2m plus 1 times 2m plus 1, and then I still have this minus 5 back here at the back. We can't drop the minus 5. Okay? Don't forget about it. Alright, so I have to FOIL this part right here. So 2m times 2m gives you 4m squared. 2m, now the back terms. 2m times 1 is 2m, and then the inside terms, 2m times 1 again is 2m, and then 1 times 1 is 1, and then I have still minus 5 back here, okay? Now, I'm going to clean this up. 4m squared, can I combine anything there?
No.
So it stays 4m squared. 2m and 2m give you 4m, and then I have 1 minus 5, so I have
-4.
minus 4. Alright, I'm going to leave that alone for right now, okay? Now I'm going to come over here and deal with this. I'm going to leave this minus sign right there where it is, okay? Alright, so I have -4 times 3m, -12m, -4 times a -7, plus 28, -4 times a +9. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm lying. Don't do that. Sorry, plus 9. I'm sorry, plus 9 back there. I'm sorry, y'all. I got all excited about multiplying. I'm sorry, plus 9. Sorry.
5.
Okay. All right, now we need to combine. So leave the subtraction back there. What? What's negative? Bring this negative down out front.
You need to pause this.
I can't.
Okay.
Okay. -12m stays. 28 plus 9 is
8 plus 9. Almost got 31. I mean, no, it's 36.
37. Okay. Now I can deal with the subtraction because this is as far as I can go inside here. Alright. This subtraction sign, all it really does is what? Change the signs. So this is going to become no longer -12m. It's going to become
Positive 12.
+12m. And this is now
Negative.
-37. So now I can combine these two problems together. Okay? So now I have 4m squared plus 4m minus 4, and I'm going to bring this over, plus 12m minus 37. Everybody okay with where all that came from?
So
Because we brought this over to this problem.
So you're just gonna distribute the subtraction sign.
And
Because we did that right here. So we just brought it over. Alright, so 4m squared. Can I do anything?
no.
Alright, so 4m squared stays. 4m and 12m give you,
16.
so plus 16m, and -4 and -37,
Negative 43. I mean 42. Isn't that negative 42?
41.
Oh,
Minus 41. And that is your final answer. There's nothing else to do there. Now it's done. Everybody okay there?
Yep.
Alright,
Yeah, it
I'm about to